DaFonseca. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Lifecore Biomedical, where I lead the sales and marketing organization for our sterile manufacturing and CDMO business. I have been in the industry, the CDMO and CRO industry for 28 years, starting out as an analytical chemist for large molecules, eventually moving into business development and individual contributor roles, and then leadership roles in 2009. So nice to see you. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said specialized. So the standard, highly soluble, stable small molecule days have been over for a while now, and the progress of the biological-based therapies continues to grow every year. And for us, there's a wide range of biological therapies that we see, from proteins and peptides to mAbs, ADCs, mRNA therapies, and the requirements to successfully manufacture each of these varies in both technical acumen and equipment. And as a CDMO, we need to consider the physical chemical properties of the molecules, their stability, their solubility or lack thereof, and how you can formulate them to achieve the desired target product profile. And as it relates to this, one trend we've been seeing at Lifecore is the desire to increase concentration in order to decrease delivery volume for these injectable biologics. So concentrating these projects isn't always easy. And one side effect that can happen is an increase in the viscosity of the formulation. So not every CDMO has experience to deal with aseptically filtering these high viscous products. And as a biotech, you need to make sure you choose a vendor that has experience in dealing with the particular types of issues, in this case, viscosity, that your molecule presents. And then when I think about combination products in the injectable space, the things that come into mind are the chemical property differences between the molecules that may affect the buffer systems that you would choose to formulate the products in, given dose and solubility constraints. If there's significant differences in the conditions that the molecules require to meet the product profile, having a strong formulation team is really critical to identifying the right excipients to overcome the challenges. So sometimes they can't be overcome in solution, and then you're considering non-traditional injectable formulations like suspensions, which again require specific experience and know how to deal with these types of products. So I think in summary, as a CDMO, you really need to understand what your strengths are, understand where the market's going in terms of these varying modalities, and then choose what sector you want to be in, because they're going to require different manufacturing equipment, potential containment equipment, a specific technical experience and skill set, and you really can't be all things to everyone. Yeah, well, first I would say yes, geopolitical dynamics today are real and are having an impact on decision making for products and where they're being manufactured, both in clinical and commercial. So for mid-size to large volume commercial products, I would say having a diversified supply chain with multiple vendors has been a concept most pharma and biotech companies have been acting on for a while now. But for smaller volume and orphan disease products, this is causing a real challenge where companies at times have been relying on a central CDMO to manufacture their product for global distribution. So therein lies the challenge. So for companies with established products also on the market, so it's already established, what we're seeing is they're doing exploratory work to understand the pricing dynamics between regions to help them determine the cost-benefit analysis. I think many are finding it's much more costly to move a product that's already established at a vendor. But as the US is the largest market in the world for pharmaceutical products, we're seeing decisions made by these companies to move the production abroad to the US to avoid current and potential future tariffs, as well as just the rising cost of distribution in general. And I think for companies who are entering into development or looking to establish their commercial supply chain, it's a different game, right? They're not already set somewhere. So I think companies are really strongly looking at regional approaches to supply chain, establishing vendors in key regions to address both potential cost issues and leveraging to distribute locally. But I think the key thing too is that they want to have vendors though that can distribute globally if they need to, because that's the risk mitigation approach that they require. So I think yes, it's local distribution, but the ability to distribute globally is still an important concept. Well, for my sector in the injectable space, this is one of the biggest conversations that's happening right now. Clients rightly are shifting the discussion from pure capacity and Annex 1 compliance to taking a closer look at the CDMO's quality systems and track record, specifically for late phase and already commercial products. So quality was always table stakes for many clients, and there was an assumption that this was in place, working well, given the brand and tenure of an organization. That's not the case anymore. We've seen some high-profile organizations having challenges in this area. So, companies are spending a lot more time asking detailed questions about quality, making sure quality audits are performed before they make an outsourcing decision, not just as a checkbox after the fact. And then really taking a look at the quality systems in general that an organization has to make sure that they're compliant, not just with the FDA, but with the European agencies and other regulatory authorities that have slightly different requirements. So there's a lot more time that's being spent on that right now. Yeah, so personally, I'm very interested in learning about the evolving trends that are happening in the industry. Again, what API modalities and phases of development are driving funding and mergers and acquisitions right now. I'm also interested to understand how AI continues to impact the pharma and biotech sector from both a discovery point of view, which is kind of well established, but as well as a use to enhance quality and compliance. I think that's, given some of the issues that we've been seeing with the increased scrutiny of FDA and quality track records, I think understanding how AI can impact that in a beneficial way is also very interesting. And in terms of where you can find us, Lifecore will have its base camp set up at the State of Minnesota Pavilion. So that's booth 4507. And our organization is headquartered in Minnesota, just 30 minutes outside of Minneapolis. Hence, we're going to be at their booth. Please stop by the booth and say hello. We'd love to connect with you during the conference.